The night in Stagira was quiet. The sea breeze brushed the coral rocks, and in the midst of that silence stood a teenager whose eyes looked at the world as if wanting to devour all its secrets. He was not a king, not a military leader. He was merely a young man who would one day teach the world how to think. His name, Aristotle. Every step he took on the stone paths of Athens was a walking question. The bustling market, the scent of spices and perfumes, the voices of merchants calling out, all became his field of observation. He didn't just live in the city, he studied the world. Among philosophers and students, he absorbed every word, constructing logic from spoken conversations, heated debates and others' mistakes. He wasn't satisfied with half-hearted answers or hollow theories. Aristotle demanded structure, because to him, the human mind was a machine that must operate in precise order. He formed syllogisms, premises, conclusions, rules of reasoning that explained cause and effect. What he created wasn't just a method, it was the architecture of human intellect, the foundation that would later underpin science, philosophy, and modern technology. He observed the world with the precision of a scientist and the sharpness of a philosopher. Every argument we make today, in courtrooms, debates, or simple conclusions, is Aristotle's legacy. He instilled a timeless way of thinking, and most astonishing of all, Aristotle left behind no kingdom, no monument, no wealth. What he left was a mind that lives on in every one of us who dares to question and analyze every word, every conclusion. Every idea we create unconsciously traces his footsteps in the modern age. Every time we debate, build arguments, or make decisions, we unknowingly play in the arena built by a Greek man thousands of years ago. His name, Aristotle. In the halls of the Athenian Academy, the echoes of debate bounced off marble walls. Aristotle stood in the center, calm yet piercing through every spoken word. He didn't just listen, he analyzed, premise by premise, argument by argument. He built perfect syllogisms, a structure that made the human mind function flawlessly. He understood that logic wasn't just abstract theory, it was a framework for real action. From philosophy to science, diplomacy to debate, Aristotle's rules of thought shaped invisible patterns that still influence human decisions. Centuries later, when the first computers were coded, the algorithms still followed the logical patterns he created. Even modern AI indirectly executes his principles. His contemporaries thought him too serious, even strange, because he preferred order over empty rhetoric. But that precision is what made his logic endure for thousands of years. Aristotle's logic isn't just a tool, it's the invisible framework that drives the modern world. And every time we draw conclusions, knowingly or not, we follow his path. Before microscopes existed, before modern laboratories were built, a Greek philosopher was already studying life with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. Morning in Stagira, Aristotle stood by the sea, gazing at a small octopus in a wooden bucket. He studied the movement of its fins, examined its body structure, noted every detail. To the world, it was just an octopus. To Aristotle, it was a living book of the universe. He recorded reproductive patterns, distinguished vertebrates from invertebrates, studied internal organs, all without any tools. Thousands of years before modern science named the parts of an octopus's heart, he had already written them down. He observed over 500 animal species, compiling descriptions that remain relevant today. People around him thought it madness. Why would a philosopher care about fish or birds? To Aristotle, nature was the first teacher, and every creature a silent but information-rich mentor. Most remarkably, he had no lab, no instruments, no academic title. Just sharp eyes and a mind that never stopped questioning, and from that, the first biology was born, influencing all modern life sciences. Before Alexander conquered the world with swords, he was first conquered by the mind of a teacher, Aristotle. In the palace of Macedonia, a young man sat beside Aristotle. Alexander thirsted for the world, but Aristotle gave him more than military strategy. He taught him how to think. Logic, rhetoric, ethics, and natural science. Each lesson shaped a mindset that would make Alexander not just swift in battle, but wise in leadership. Their teacher-student bond was more than education. It was the transformation of a young king into a strategic thinker. Aristotle instilled principles that enabled Alexander to understand cultures, politics, and geography before conquering them. Ironically, Alexander conquered the world, but Aristotle had already conquered his mind. Without that philosophical legacy, Alexander's conquests might have been directionless wars. Fire can burn cities, armies can loot palaces, but one thing from Aristotle can never be extinguished: his mind. Aristotle's writings spread across the ancient world. His manuscripts were looted, burned, lost to time, yet his ideas lived on. From Alexandria to Baghdad, from medieval Europe to the Renaissance, his work became the foundation of Western knowledge. Medieval scholars, philosophers, and translators spent years copying his manuscripts to preserve his logic and observations. Organon, his monumental work on logic, became the guide for every mind-seeking systematic thought. Aristotle proved that legacy isn't always monuments or riches, it can be a structure of thought that lives on. He planted analytical methods that inspired modern science, law, philosophy, and even computerization. He never sought recognition, but every argument we make today, every structure of thought we build, still walks the path he laid 2,000 years ago. Two thinkers, one city, one stage of history. Athens became an arena, not of swords, but of ideas. Plato pointed to the sky. Truth lies in the world of ideas. Aristotle looked down to earth. Truth is here. In reality, their clash shook the world of philosophy. Plato's idealism emphasized pure forms, while Aristotle's empiricism demanded real evidence. Their dialogue and debate formed two eternal poles of human thought. Theory versus observation, ideas versus facts, imagination versus proof. Every student present witnessed more than a debate. They saw the birth of critical thinking that would influence thousands of generations. That duel isn't over. Every time we choose between theory and data, we continue the battle between Plato and Aristotle without realizing it. Back then, science had no name. There was only one word: philosophy. In Aristotle's hands, philosophy stopped being abstract discourse. He brought thought into nature: air, water, fire, motion, anatomy, stars. He observed, recorded, concluded, without labs, without advanced instruments. He wrote the first scientific method: observe, record, conclude. From fish movement to star orbits, from animal reproduction to planetary motion, all were studied systematically. Aristotle proved that knowledge isn't just theory, it's observation analyzed with logic. Modern sciences, physics, biology, astronomy, stem from the philosophical roots he planted thousands of years ago. Modern science wasn't born from machines or advanced labs. It was born from the mind of a philosopher who chose to observe the world closely. Many kings are born from thrones, but political science was born from Aristotle's pen. He viewed Athens not as destiny, but as a living organism. His analysis of monarchy, aristocracy, democracy, and corruption in each form of government became the foundation of modern political theory. Aristotle emphasized the relationship between people, law, and leaders. He mapped out healthy forms of governance and the risks of each system when misused. 2,000 years later, the political map of the world still spins on the framework he built, and wise leaders, knowingly or not, still follow his principles. He died 2,000 years ago, but his shadow remains in every classroom, courtroom, and line of code. Aristotle left the world without monuments, kingdoms, or grand tombs, but his ideas crept through time. From Alexandria, Baghdad, Paris, Oxford, his name became a whisper behind every wall of knowledge. Every philosopher, scientist, and student who reads, writes, or thinks critically is continuing his life. Logic, ethics, biology, politics all still walk the path he created. Even when his name isn't mentioned, his mind continues to work through all of us, and every step taken by a thinking human is Aristotle's eternal shadow. Many leave behind wealth, few leave behind a way of thinking. Aristotle didn't live to become a legend. He simply wanted to understand the world. But from that desire was born the foundation of logic, science, politics, ethics, and human reasoning. From Stagira, his mind pierced through millennia and took root in every branch of knowledge. Every debate, experiment, or modern writing is truly an extension of his thought. Aristotle didn't live forever, but his mind never died, and every human who questions, investigates, and analyzes continues to breathe life into that legacy.